What's going on? It's your boy, Brother Al, and I'm back with another one. Hey, go ahead, do me a favor right quick, because I'm trying to build this community. So go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and subscribe to the channel and join the community of brothers and of sisters too that's about having a strong, good nuclear family units, mother, father as the head of the household, mother raising the children and guiding the children, and the father providing and protecting. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe if you're down for families. If you're not with this single baby mom, one parent household stuff. If you want to break those generational curses, go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment what you think. And if you don't agree, tell me why in the comments. I want to know, and I want to conversate with you in the comments. All right, now, with that all being said, look, in order to have the nuclear family, and what do I mean by nuclear family? Meaning that the family is centered around the father, and it's centered around family, it's centered around God, number one, of course, all right? But it's centered around the father, and you have the wife, and you have the children, okay? Now, we got to understand that, especially if you're a man in the United States or in the Western world, like European countries or European style countries like Australia or something like that, we have to understand, and even if you're in the third world country, because now with the internet, these countries are more and more becoming like Western style countries, but we have to understand that a lot of women are going to off rip look at men in a negative light, okay? And they're going to look at you not as their protector or provider, but more so as as basically a pocketbook for them. All right, basically your ATM for them. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's the main thing, right? That women want, right? The main thing that we want is to reproduce. Okay, the main thing that a man wants is to reproduce and leave behind his legacy. All right. We will typically say sex, right? But the end goal of sex is you reproduce and you have a family. So that's the man's number one goal. So that's what a lot of men had to realize. Those two things. That number one is not the woman's number one goal to have family. That's the man's number one goal. Okay? Having children sucks a lot for women. They enjoy it and they love children, even, I would say, even more than men love children. But having a family is not at the forefront of their mind. It's happiness comes in the long run after they raise children, raise them up, and made them successful and all of that. And those years of bonds, they're going to love their children more than anybody. There's nothing like a mother's love for a child. But you got to understand, an initial process where it's just you and her, and both y'all single, and hopefully she doesn't have children, right? Because you don't want to be sitting there raising another man's child, unless she, a widow or something like that. But even still, especially nowadays, unless you're rich or something, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not economically sound for you and the family, especially as a man who wants to leave his own legacy and have his own children. But one thing we got to understand too is that you have to understand how male and female psychology works, okay? God created men and women, and men and women are two different sexes. Though we're both humans, we have that in similarity. We have a lot of things in common, but psychologically, we're diametrically opposed, okay? Women need to be guided by the man. So coming into the relationship, you got to be the man. But you can't just say that outright. Why? Because women have a nature to rebel against the man. Ever since Eve came in the garden, she rebelled against God and rebelled against her husband and listened to the voice of another male, okay? It wasn't a man, it was a serpent. Satan disguised as a serpent, all right? But you got to understand that there's so many lessons that you can learn from the Bible and from Adam and Eve that you gotta be careful who's whispering in your wife's ear or your potential wife's ear. You gotta be careful who you let her hang around. You gotta be careful who she's talking to, who you allow her to talk to and everything. And I say all these things, it's gonna sound very, very foreign, especially to Western women, Americanized women that live in Western European style countries, because since like the 1960s, so for the last 65 years, we basically allow women to run amok. And look, the numbers don't lie. The statistics, the facts, the data, they don't lie. Ever since the 1960s, our divorce rate has skyrocketed, the marriage rate has plummeted, and abortions and all of that stuff is through the roof. We kill our young, we eat our young. In this country, half the country is adamant on just, look, if you're not ready for that child, go ahead, toss them away and all of that. You know, go ahead, kill the child if you're not ready for the child. But at the same time, if you're a man, you don't have no say in the matter. No say in the matter, unless you live in one of those states that does get the father to say. Now we have that. But before the Supreme Court ruled on it, the man had zero rights to his own child. That's the facts. All right? So we've given women so much freedom, even the freedom to even kill our own youth, kill our own legacies, by them saying, oh, it's their body. Yeah, but it's the man's child too. So thank God that we have a say in that now today. Okay? But you just, to understand it, you can't go into it naive. Look, I used to be that guy that said that all women are good. All women, there's nothing wrong with them. And that you could be with a good woman, get her with her, and that everything, as long as you make her happy, that everything will be okay. As long as you give her money, take her out on dates, buy her nice things, you're the good guy, everything's going to end up all right. But guess what I realized? That saying, that nice guys finish last, is not just something that somebody made up off the top of their head. That stuff is true. Nice guys finish last. And I done watched thugs, deadbeats, this broke, busted, disgusted, and don't do a thing, have long-lasting relationships with people. Even though they might not work out forever, they might not stay together for life, but I've seen them have way more success and longer lasting relationships than the best guys that I know of. And like the older men, they're from a different generation, even though they kind of led us into this path that we're on now. But now it's spiraled so far out of control. Like, if you're a good guy, good luck, because you're going to have to change certain mannerisms and behaviors about yourself, like how I did. And I can say today that because of that, I have seen the results. I am married, don't have the ring on the finger because I'm an electrician, and gold is the highest conductor that we know of right now, unless they got something secret in the lab somewhere. But yeah, once I made those changes, and once I started becoming a man, as far as like the head of the household, the leader, the one that's making the decisions and things like that, I've seen that is far more attractive to a woman. No matter what they say, they can say whatever they want, but look who they choose. They always choose the more dominant, the more assertive male, the more decisive male, who knows what he wants and goes get what he gets, who doesn't say, baby, you want to go here this weekend and all of that. He just be like, hey, I'm going, you know, we going here, things like that. And there's just so much more I can get into, but I'm gonna start making more videos like this again. So if you want to keep in touch with that, go ahead, subscribe, turn on the post notifications so you get the latest content. Like the video, share with somebody that may benefit from this information, and comment too. I want to know what you think. I want to know how things are going and you know, you ain't gotta get too personal, but how you doing as well. And I love each and every one of y'all, and I hope y'all doing your best. And I'll catch you on another one, the next one. Peace.